morning, we are most grateful. We are just here to come and greet him and wish him happy Father's Day in advance. So, Your Excellency, on behalf of all of His Royal Majesty and all of us, we say a very pleasant and a happy Father's Day in advance. You've been a wonderful father to the whole nation, and you continue to be a wonderful father. This is his name. No. He is the humble and advocate of the landscape. So now, I will respectfully ask to introduce himself. The chief priestess of the state is a man who introduces the chief priestess of the welcome.
Me, Curtesy, divisional head of the government.
I'm the head of the Kuffour students.
Excellency, me, I am the second that's the key of the district. I'm Kuffour Chief of Social Cathedral. Me, I'm Kuchan.
I thought I had Moko. I said, no, that's what used to be my aunt who passed on. Okay. Yeah.
Your Excellency, my name is
Welcome.
Your Excellency, here we have Christopher de He is the Chief of Protocol and in charge of operations. He is the bank manager.
Thank you for that.
And policy. Your Excellency, we have me, Jaka. Shabi. Me, Tackie Teiko
That of Raffle and
Head of Security, yes.
welcome. Welcome. Okay.
At this juncture, Your Excellency, Abiasuma, Audio, Abiasuma, Audio, Abiasuma, Audio, Kuffour, Amwaya, His Excellency, the government, His Royal Majesty, Dr. Tackie Teiko Tsuru, government, and the President of the Ghana Council.
ask for the, or you have other charges.
The chief priest is going to Ghana mambo fete wo wombi ake no le tun Ghana ma fe jo mo han ke bi ke na bi ke fele mo fe mene wo bi ke ku ka e ko te do e ye no le ko jana jo e hin fe fa e sa fe e fe ne e to ne fe na gbaji e je ke ka se wo bo ni na ma ke to la mo na no fe no ni wo bi o ye fe ni me no me te wa ke jo mo ye je na jo mo pa ni na ni wo sa fi ke wo shi agbo egbele ni wo ba na le ke no ni no fe no ni a fe pe ti ni awo aje ye je ni no kwa kati wo kele te shi wo hishi ake mwene ti bi ni wo tele je fo ni ake wo kele na ta pa ke je mwene ka shi na no wo kele ile mu ke wo o shi ta mo fe jo mo jo mo ni na o wo hale happy Father's Day in advance
Yes.
At this juncture, I think you have the floor to address the king in his good tolerance.
The honor is mine to welcome His Majesty Dr. King Majesty King Tackie Teiko Tsuru. Well, I was going to say Dr. the second. Why when I heard from my office that His Majesty was going to pay me a visit, I was beside myself with joy. Joy because I remember that, of course, I had read in the papers about his parents, especially the father. And I remember in those days, I think in the 50s, 60s, my big brother was on the campus of the University of Science and Tech. He became coming to my University of Science and Tech. And his father was also there. They were both professors. My brother was a professor of chemistry, and His Majesty's father was of architecture. And again, a nephew of mine, I'm sure you would remember him, J.B. Kuffour. Well, there were like 8 groups and contemporaries. With all due respect to His Majesty, then they were small boys. So when I read that he had ascended the throne of his ancestors in the papers, I was, as I said, so happy. Because I remember his father once was touted to become the government. But well, if it's correct, he didn't want to be at that time. But as destiny would have it, even when the fathers wouldn't do it for whatever reason, I don't know, now the state has turned to the son to take the great throne of the Ghana state. And we should all be aware that Accra now is the capital of the whole of Ghana. And it's such an honor to have a very highly educated, enlightened person chosen to be the traditional head of the capital of the nation of Ghana. I'm sure ambassadors, dignitaries from all around the world, when they visit Ghana, of course Accra will be the first stop, and they would want to see a bit of our tradition. And so Mantse's Palace might be some of the first stops for them. And it's just proper and right that we should have a king that would understand and appreciate the evolution of the global society. And the elders couldn't have chosen a better king than His Majesty. Today, as I said, when I heard, I was happy. I thought, oh, he would come. I didn't know he would come with the splendor of and majesty of his throne, like I've seen. The Wolomé, the horn, the drums, the chiefs. I'm overwhelmed. If I had anticipated that it would be such a situation, with the full retinue coming with His Majesty, perhaps I would have gathered some friends and colleagues around. My wife, who loves tradition, unfortunately these days, with aging, she's not able to be here by my side to welcome His Majesty. But she's very much alert and aware. And she also served in the Tech Hospital, University Hospital. She's a nurse midwife by training. And in fact, matron of the Cocoa Clinic, which is a stone throw from Mantse's Palace. So, but she's not able to be here with me now. She extends her welcome. With me here, since the introductions have been done from Ochiami's end, I would want to introduce my niece. When I talk of tradition, you would appreciate, because I was born into tradition too. My niece, the first one of all, and I have many of them, nieces and nephews and sons all over, is this lady standing there. Please come close here. Okay. She is Mrs. Prempe. She was Miss Prempe. Why? Because the daughter of Prempe II, Sadman Prempe II, and Nanayacha. But strangely, she got entangled with a cousin who was also descended from first Nana Sadman Prempe the first, the one that was taken to Seychelles. That's the husband. So Prempe married Prempe. And you would want to know too that her first child, a girl, daughter, she was with me yesterday or 2 days ago, somehow also got herself entangled with a young man from, I believe, somewhere around Nice Domain. At Akwe's house. So I've got a grand nephew from Sempe. I poke fun at him anytime he comes here. He's a student now. Call him Nini, because when he turns to the father's side, he's Ni. He comes to the mother's side, still Ni, Nana. He has a girl name and at the same time a Santi name. My niece is visiting, and it just happened by coincidence. You may not believe it. She came in, and then niece convoy drove in. So I said she should stay to help me welcome His Majesty. That's why she did. And then, where's Monica? She is a friend, long-standing friend, a brilliant woman, statistician. In the 60s or 70s, worked at the Ministry of Trade as statistician. Then also got married to a Ga man. What's the name again? I've forgotten. Sastrakununu. But now she's an interior decor and also landscaper. All the plants you see around this house. She did. Again, she's here just by chance. Didn't plan it or anything. She comes. She wanted to run away when she saw the full force of the rating. So I said, no, help me to welcome His Majesty. So she's here. And then there's this nephew standing there. A mason, a trans deep in our house. I'm a mason too. No matter what people say, I don't see any untoward thing. It's not paganism or in fact, it happens well because it's not like religious. It's just moral or ethical to help develop character. This young man, his father, who married my first cousin, was one of the people prepared the first in exile, born in Seychelles. One of the people who were born in Seychelles. And then they came back. Father trained here in Accra, Chemota. Then father met my cousin and gave us how many boys and how many, I think a girl and how many boys?
5 boys.
5 boys. So they don't know whether they are like locals in Accra or they are from Kumasi. But he's taken to afforestation. And is one of the people helping Ghana to reforest our lands. And he pesters me. He wants to draw me into. Now I tell him I was born in forest, so he should continue with the good works. He travels to the north, even here in Accra he's doing. So he's also visiting by chance. And then all the rest. I do, like the director for protocol, has worked with me from the very first days of presidency, 2001. He was assigned to me, and he continues loyally to work with me. And in fact, it was he who gave me the message, and he was coming to visit. And So he's here now playing, not traditional linguists, but I would say protocol, doing the good question. There are so many young people around, but I think for introductions, that's okay. I've given a background of how I got to know of His Majesty, his father, Professor Tackie, my big brother, Professor Kuffour, were colleagues on the campus of, and then I know he grew up, or partly grew up on the campus of Tech. I'm so appreciative of the blessing you brought, adorning me with this. I've always seen it in the papers, but this is the first time I've been decked with this garland, and also the blessings that the Wolome gave, appeal to the Creator for me. And I feel God has said your prayer, and I want to thank you for this. I also appreciate very much the gifts, and then the message of Father's Day, which is a coincidence of the visit. Sunday is Father's Day. That His Majesty would bring me these gifts on Father's Day. And I've told you of the story that his father was my brother's, like colleagues. So in that sense, virtually me is my son. And that you will remember is something that also touches my heart. And then the lady, Mrs. Sarkodie, who is niece, Chief of Staff, the husband, the husband, the original Mr. Sarkodie, I don't know if you are together, but at least the name, you carry the name.
Yes.
When you come to Kumasi, Ashtown, my family house is here, the very next house, yes, father's house. And then I remember traveling to Botswana some time back. It must have been in the 60s or 70s. Then I heard of a bright, eloquent Ghanaian lady lawyer there. I think you were there with your husband then.
No, at that time he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. So we got introduced. And since then, I've always thought of her as a friend. Today, His Majesty comes, and who speaks? Is this Sarkodie, the lawyer, and now elevated to the high office of being a spokesperson for His Majesty. So I think today is a very auspicious day for me, and I welcome you. We happen to be in times where the people of Ghana, all over, from the coast right to the northernmost part, from east to west, we are like searching for the identity of our nation. When I say nation, we are one, Ghana. And so our traditional leaders are gaining, I wouldn't say power, but it's like, because we want our identity, which would define our nation as Ghana, we are tracing our steps back to our forefathers. And that really is making the people of Ghana appreciate the role of our traditional leaders. By definition, they should be the custodian of our ancient wisdom, ancient beliefs, our culture, and then our sense of right and wrong. So if you look critically in our media, you might get the impression that perhaps the chiefs are even becoming more powerful than our elected leaders these days. I'm a politician, and thank God with the help of the people of Ghana, I became the president of Ghana. But as I sit here, sometimes I wonder whether our elected representatives carry the trust of the people half as much as our traditional rulers like His Majesty. You pick any politician at random, say anywhere in the constituencies of Accra, you put him on a scale and mention His Majesty's name. Let's see who would weigh. Is it the re-elected politician or His Majesty? You see that His Majesty would carry the day, hands down. So, and it's good that the various peoples, let me use the word tribes, or clans, or ethnicities, it's good that these days they are tending to select royals who have improved themselves with modern education and who have exposed their vision and appreciation of not only their immediate tribe or region or whatever, but people who understand where the world is going, people who have exposed themselves internationally and are therefore able to hold their own with all comers from east, west, wherever. You come from America or from China or from Europe, our chiefs, modern chiefs coming. And it's happening across the board in Ghana. It gladdens my heart that we have such enlightened traditional leadership. And as I said earlier, the Mantse, Tackie Teiko Tsuru, exemplifies this tendency. And I pray that they should continue into the future, because through them, the identity of our nation is firmly established. So, I welcome me. I accept the gifts he's brought. I've accepted the blessing and traditional honors. And the prayer that the relationship between me and the Ghana state, because he personifies the state, I pray to God would be permanent and it should be one of love and goodwill always. I pray that on where I am now is not Accra, but the place has become a suburb of Accra. Accra is growing by leaps and bounds. And when I look at, say, 5 years' time, I don't know, it's a great, great metropolis full of people from all over Ghana. I pray that His Majesty and the traditional people of the Ghana state would be welcoming to all of us, because it takes with our support. The Ghana state is the capital of Ghana. Without the rest of us, Ghana state will be very small. But with the rest of us, your influence grows. So we accept you. You also must accept us. There shouldn't be any discrimination at all in Accra. You are a metropolis, and all the big cities of the world, that's how they are. You go to London, for instance, they will tell you the true Londoners are the Cockneys. But go to London now, you may not know who is a Cockney from, say, the person from Midlands or from Scotland or from Ireland. They are together. This is how it should be. So accept your destiny as the Ghana state, that you are here to accommodate all of us from all over Ghana. So we are one. I thank you very much. And I think I've spoken. I'm a bit of a politician when I get the chance. So I think I should ask for God's blessings for me, to shower His rain during His, I was going to say tenure will leave to the limited office, but during His reign, the good Lord should look very kindly on His realm, prosper him, and he should be a blessing to all his people, for peace, for unity, for prosperity, for everything. And God should give him a very long, long life. So, me welcome. Look on this house as your home anytime you feel. It shouldn't be always formal like this, but as and when you feel, just pop in. may share a drink. Thank you. God bless you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much for the very good message. At this juncture, His Royal Majesty, Abjasuma, Amwaya, Oyechi, Sanfilipo.
Desolated. But the voice is still calling me to take back my belonging. And here I am, uniting all and shared people. Yeah. Of what belongs to them. Oh, of this God, rain your peace onto this land. Bring unity to our people and bring love to all mankind. Nigga at Biasuma, Boni. God protect you. God protect you. Biasuma, Boni.
Ago ni megana me. Yeshua ya Biasuma. Oya. Ago amen. Ago wait. Amen. O man here yellow. Yeah. Viane ibata wa eriko ibata. Yeah. Twin jole afi, you know. Yeah. Jomo wulu abu isiane. Yeah. Kekile ni akedrole. Yeah. Idake mene bine igme gangbe. Yeah. Yeah, idabwa. Yeah. Eba fe kuwe. Yeah. Eba fe kuwe. Yeah. Eba fe ku. Yeah. Mamu ven yosi akeshin ne ba ipakeju ijro. Yeah. E krama. Yeah. Ima badumoshi. Yeah. Ni bi papa ni ebagme he ke. Yeah. O femo bana ise namo. Yeah. Wo womba. Jomo wulu ken hale. Yeah. Na drole. Yeah. Na hale hewale. Yeah. No fair le twiswo enine ashe no. Yeah. Mene bine oba. Ni wa dalish. Yeah. Ke ha isomo. Yeah. Ni ikesomo ma. Yeah. Wo ke ke mokokura hie so wo hie so. Yeah. Oba ni wa bile. Yeah. No komepe. Yeah. Mini ji edemon sane. Yeah. Mini no edomo. Yeah. Ni hani Ghana mamu fe joneken. Yeah. Ni hani Ghana mamu fe hineken. Yeah. Mini ji demo. Yeah. Mini ji sane. Yeah. Yose. Yeah. Chano manyama. Yeah.
Well,
hello, you have performed in
please to let His Majesty.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
No. perhaps we'll go back a bit in philosophy, and then a bit in religion, a bit in history. And along the way, as I grew up, and I was, like I've introduced my niece here to you, I was born into, if you like, an intersection of tradition, leadership. For instance, my brother-in-law, Kuffour, beside my brother, the second, he treated me like his son. But I was born 38. My sister, wife of Prempe, had her first child, the lady here, 43 or 44? 43. So I was about 5 years. And until she came around, the way the Asantehene then, Prempe the second, treated me was like son. So I saw it. But at the same time, on my mother's side, I had this uncle who had been trained in the old government training college, which became Achimota. And he was determined that none of the children from outside my mother's side would be over-pampered or let whatever get into their head. So when I say move from Manshia, my mother's house, I would know that any misstep might occasion a whip, a cane. So that discipline came. And then my sister, the mother of this lady here, forced us so much into, we were born Anglicans. Before I knew, I was being forced to go to choir and that sort of thing. The Anglican church. My schoolmasters, Master Divine, a guy, good guy, and then Master Kwaku. They both lived to around 110. If you believe it, when I came into politics, Master Divine I had grown to come to Parliament before Master Divine died. And in fact, I was part of the cortege that took the old man's cemetery here in Accra. So I see the balance of religion, education, tradition. My father was also a divisional chief in Kumasi, or Ikohi of Kumasi. In his house, the tradition was a bit steep. But with all these influences around and exposure, I came to believe seriously that at bottom or centrally, it should be man. And all the fear of God above all. God created all people. He meant us to be brothers. And the ladies would forgive me, but we are one. Man, God doesn't see gender. He deliberately put man and woman together. And it's ordered. Procreate. And so, eventually when I was growing up, a lawyer at the age of 22, a few months, Oxford University, liberal education and that sort of thing, I came away believing that should I get the chance, everywhere you go, uphold the dignity of man. Let the law be the ordering mechanism. Nobody, with all due respect to your majesty, even as you sit here, you are majesty because of the people. So pay due regard to them. When you serve them, they will serve you in turn. I believe in that. And so when I eventually, and it took me a long time, at the age of 30, I was member of parliament. At the age of 30, I was made the deputy foreign minister of Ghana. Time I became president, I was 62 years. Waiting, can you imagine, 30 years before I got there. And I look on that period as apprenticeship. I had been in Ashaford detention twice. The first time I was there for 1 year, 3 months. So even as we slept, you heard the color marching drums sometimes through the night. It was a great school. And so by the time I got a chance to be president, I had learned humility. I had, as I said, through history, philosophy, religion, I knew that the well-being of mankind, forget whether they are Christians or Muslims or white or red or black, once they are human, should be the justification of service. So I think all these things influenced me, and I tried to be as fair as I could. I'm not perfect, but because of the hard training and long apprenticeship, things came together. God bless the opportunity. So this is the main thing. Fear God and also be each our brother's keeper.
You tell me again.
Yes, sir.
You tell me again.
Great.
In one hour, I can many Obanikase.
Yeah.
Egla, Demon Sunny, many Echo.
Yeah.
Ehani Wale,
Yeah.
Demon Sunny. Ni Oba Chona Kay Benen. Echon on a shed, a champion, I guess one dollar she Ojoba.
Yeah.
A Gino Connected Evo.
Yeah.
When a honey Jim fair in Ellie.
Yeah.
Heshiba.
Yeah.
Heshiba.
Yeah.
Heshiba.
Yeah.
Kekome fame.
Yeah.
Lupe Banyani Ikegan Aye.
Yeah.
Minji.
Yeah.
Minji Neke.
Yeah.
Minji Nekemo.
Yeah.
Fair away.
Yeah.
Jawofi Kume.
Yeah.
Jagan fair Kume.
Yeah.
Wana Bule, more Bule.
Yeah.
Pile Amechedon.
Yeah.
Che. Me Liame Bidon.
Yeah.
Binya Dumo Agona.
Yeah.
Ego Iche Kenye. Mayayang.
Yeah.
Mene Sanife ni Kasemo.
Yeah.
Eke wo ba wo heshi ke ha unupai ke ha wo kusum.
Yeah.
Wala jekura.
Yeah.
Eke achosele ye manjemen awen.
Yeah.
Achosele ye kusuna.
Yeah.
Nye nai.
Yeah.
Mini ye kefio.
Yeah.
Mene min binye. Mini ye kefio. Noni nye nane mini ye kefio.
Yeah.
Wo min panye fai.
Yeah.
Neke none afi oti ehanye.
Yeah.
Ehani wo moma wo.
Yeah.
Ni kusuna ke chose wo.
Yeah.
Oke hesiba afida.
Yeah.
Koni wo ke bua gamefe ana.
Yeah.
Ni wo ya wo.
Yeah.
Oba se jenke.
Yeah.
Chano ya.
Yeah.
Ebole kada future lawyer atomi ni ahene nunu neji eteno abola manche kegan atofuche wo biene ba ye wo SWA president Edabo Amie kejebe na wo ni gane eta egbe ni ekelape ni ase sinmenegbine nuchole egmenwo gbe ni ke wo ebabiene ni gbe koleke gbe na no to ne ake boni mwene o Sunday fe Father's Day ibacho leke gbeno kuni ke ba slale na gbene ena egbe ni ke lashna kun ni yo ne yo leke mo ne kere ni no pepe wo ba no ko wa ba wo ba kuku fi onu wo yen ne be niga bi aloike wo ex-president Shinamo je mene eche ebinile niga agbene nwe ko oyeye che wo binga ni efiake wo ex-president wole nga fio boni afio na ke nyo mayin je he shouldn't be a boss but he should be a leader with the people around him no loko fio ni won wo here nyelo ni di John Ajikun Kuffour ngafio ni ko wo president of the Ghana Traditional Council no ne His Royal Majesty King Tackie Teiko Tsuru ni je nyono
ke aso ke onyeni obuano ni ete no fio no yo se ke waja mini onyo ke wo
you know, His Royal Majesty King Tackie Teiko Tsuru II has great vision for the Ghana state, and so he has taken that opportunity to have the relationship with the corporate sector, the diplomatic corps, and so on, so that they will all help in driving his vision to its realization. It's also important that he gets to engage leaders of the nation to seek counsel from them. And so based on that, he's been yearning to meet former President Kuffour for some time now. Coincidentally, the ex-president has also been yearning for years to meet His Royal Majesty. Thankfully, a day or two before Father's Day, they have met. They have shared ideas and they have remembered days of their fathers who had a relationship in KN University. But as we speak now, the two of them are having closed-door meetings, and then we take it up from there. So in summary, the visit has been good. The fact that His Royal Majesty has come to see his father, to show him fatherly honor at a time of Father's Day. And the father has also provided counsel to his son at this time that he gets to the next level of his reign as the king of the Ghana state. That's in summary what we have seen today.
Thank you.
My name is Lawrence Anyete Ajay, and I'm the head of business and investments at the office of the Mantse.
Wabi eba gasen beni otutu mahin yelo ni di President Kuffour beni ebata ma no eke gasen hwe pla shin kaje beni ba e shisen no ni ba ne wo kale shlamo e apa fafio ni cheme trash na me susui na me ke dabi numo ne chuchu ko e nga wo bibi ke ni e ka wa asheshon di edi nakambo se shamo e kano kwen fi ake gasen benene e sheshon do asusui ni atogbeja no akeshin be kanaka wo both Father's Day ami iwo be woko egbe kuni wo wetu no akeshin wo mba kuni wo baslale ni lodi mene ni wo ba lele nga wo de kan Mantse ni di King Tackie Teiko Tsuru na me bote chumi ne le won wole ake e ba le more bullets ni ikwa kra gan ni gan ba jo ton wo ni gan na edo ni gan na jo ye bi ami e ni ana no ba na le won e to ake Mantse bibi e no wo de bata gan no ele e papa ne lele Mantse kede gbe kan bias wo noni sande ke wulale wo ye kuma wo da se no wo shako wo he ake wo fu hunu ke gon ke jo ne ni wo badi idambu ami wo bi wala se kele bona fi bede ba hia wo ko wanale yo amo itwe mi le gbe fi aye ale